Welcome. I'm Cindy Petersen, Executive Director at the Taubman Museum of Art, and I'm here with Katie Biddle, who is the Program Director for the Dr. Robert L.A. Keeley Healing Arts Program at Carilion. And we've worked together for numerous years, and it's been such a pleasure and an honor to serve on the Arts Healing Board.
Yes, and we're so grateful to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, and the collaborations that we'll be able to talk about in just a little bit. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and the Taubman Museum of Art is pleased to participate as host for Collective Euphonia's Listening to Painting, Renewal and Healing, a program of music, art, dance, and poetry. Collective Euphonia was founded by Scott Williamson, who's a long-standing collaborative partner. Today's performances are by the following artists: Ashera Capillaro, soprano; Scott Williamson, tenor; William McCorkle on piano; and Pedro Salai, choreographer and dancer. And they will take place within the galleries, combining dance, music with the works of art and the exhibitions on display. So the Taubman Museum of Art will be the backdrop as these performances happen. Art is well known for its ability to provide healing and moments of mindfulness. And during COVID-19, the museum participated in many things, just as did the Arts Healing in Carilion. And we can see behind us is one of them. So the healing ceiling tiles. And the Taubman Museum of Art has created with the community over 400 tiles. The ones we see on display today are from members' families and volunteers. And these three particular ones were actually a volunteer with her grandchildren. And I know you've seen them at the hospital. Tell us a little bit what happens after they're created by the community with the Taubman, and then they go to Carilion.
Yeah. So, and to back up a little, even before that, is that we actually, for this collaboration, for which we're so grateful, we did a lot of background research on artistic preferences for certain patient populations. We actually started in pediatric settings and have just begun installing some of the art in the ceilings of Roanoke Memorial Hospital. The response has been incredible. We know, as Cindy mentioned, that there's so much more to healing than just addressing physical symptoms, that really the psychological and the emotional and even the social aspects of experience, they really inform overall health outcomes. And so these tiles are truly transformative. They provide a connection with the community and the artists who created them that is very supportive to the healing journey of our patients. So thank you so much.
Wow, and it's wonderful, to think about in the pediatric ward where the children are seeing then other children's artwork, and that, like you said, that powerful transformative of art. It's powerful, it's inspirational, and it's healing. And the research really, like you said, informed what types of colors that we used and provided, what types of motifs that would be best. So that collaborative part, the research informing then the next steps, and now the implementation and that continuation that will, go into the next year. And it's from, everybody from K through 12 have participated, as well as the community of our members and families up to adults. So.
Yeah, and I can say that through this initiative, I feel like our patients, as well as their caregivers and our employees, they really do feel that sense of support from the community that's been so important, especially during this time when we've had increased visitor restrictions and there's been less opportunity for that social interaction, that the art has really created our spaces as ones that are designed for the whole human experience.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Katie, for your collaborative effort on this.
Yes, and as well.
We have another area that we are both doing impactful work on. And during the COVID timeframe, the Taubman Museum of Art has really done provided over 70,000 art kits and activity sheets, as well as cards of encouragement to retirement centers, to Feeding Southwest Virginia, and to Carilion, as well as a rescue mission, and an effort to really provide creative opportunities for expression and healing. And that has just, has been the need. So the museum has reached out and looked at what does the community need, and then meeting them where they are. And that continues, because that is that part of the healing, the part of providing, and that continuation. And I know that through the Arts Healing Program, you are also providing the art kits and some exciting things that are going on at the hospital.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that, Cindy. And, I think one of the most incredible things that has happened for both of our organizations is that being present with the changing needs has really required for us to be creative and adaptive, which is, of course, those are the very capacities that we're hoping to build in the community, as well as at Carilion for our patients and for our staff as well. So normally we would have artists in residence working at the bedside with patients and providing workshops for our staff. And because of visitor restrictions during COVID, our artists weren't able to go into the hospital settings for a period of time. And in response to that change, our artists, who are well connected within the community and very skilled with what they do, they created healing experiences, a series of art kits, which we have been able to distribute throughout our healthcare system, really increasing the reach of our arts programming beyond what we had even done previously. And each of those kits is tied to a series of video demonstrations where our own artists are providing a demonstration for how to engage with art and creativity for the purpose of healing. Right? So not necessarily to create a perfected piece of art, but really to engage with this process through tuning in with the materials and with one's own experience. And all of those experiences, as you know, Cindy, they're really designed to be connective, right? So even with the ceiling tiles, that the artists are invited to engage in the present moment with all their senses. That helps connect the mind and the body, and it also helps connect us with one another.
And I think that's a great point, that connectiveness, connecting one another, the mindfulness that goes with it, the artists that are helping to provide that creative outlet, and that the warmth that it provides in terms of that. And so the Artist in Residency program, I think, is a shining star at Carilion, and continues to provide that powerful inspiration that all the arts do, as we see in this program today for Mental Health Awareness Month, and working with Collective Euphonia. And one of the artists performing today, Pedro Salai, is an artist in residence, so another connection. And in our art kits, we connect to the exhibitions on view, from the Dorothy Gillespie in our permanent collection, which you see an inspired piece here on the ceiling tile, to that tactile, like you said, using all the senses. So being able to use sculpture and nature, and being able to go and connect in new ways. And so that's an important part, I think, that we both share in terms of the art kits. And I know you just showed me before a new one that you've just worked on. Yes. With the journaling and with the coloring, and being able to use it for employees as well.
Yes, yeah. So we definitely see a need to support our employees and their own creativity as well. This has been a time of great challenge and uncertainty for us all, and working in healthcare has its own particular challenges. So we've recently designed a new area of programming called the Healer's Circle. And we are inviting our employees to create art through art kits that are specifically designed for them. And then, here's the part where the connection is so important. Creating the art helps facilitate the connections within us, but being able to share the art with one another is also so important, and that really just magnifies all the benefits. So our employees are going to have an opportunity to share any work that they wish to as part of the Healers Circle Art Show, which is an upcoming initiative sponsored by the National Arts Program, and we're just very, very excited for all of that.
Congratulations on that new programming, and that key element of sharing, just like that we are doing the display. So every number of weeks there are groups that are on display that have created the healing ceiling tiles. So being able to share with the community what has been created, and like today, being able to share music, art, dance, and poetry in our galleries at the Taubman Museum of Art as the backdrop, sharing with you. So again, thank you. The Taubman Museum of Art is excited and pleased to be able to host Collective Euphonia's Listening to Painting, Renewal and Healing. And please enjoy the rest of the presentation. And thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Scott Williamson, and I'm honored to be here. It's been a pleasure for me to be a guest curator in music here at the Taubman for the last 10 years, and for the last 2 years to be the founder of an artist collective based here in Roanoke, and we're excited to be presenting this Listening to Paintings, a special edition made possible by some generous donors. And here we have not only voice with piano, but also with dance, thanks to Pedro Savoy. Our theme is mental health awareness. And the theme of this program is renewal and healing. We move from dark to light, like a nocturne to a bright, sunlit, plein air painting, if you will. In this first set of songs, there'll be 4 pieces, opening with a beautiful evocation of the hills of Great Britain by one of England's World War I soldier poets, Ivor Gurney, who sadly died in a mental institution, suffered from bipolar disorder, and had a breakdown after serving in the trenches in World War I, where he was also gassed. His lyric voice captures that sense of English melancholy, which we will trace back several centuries, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. We close this set with a beautiful new song by Abby Bettinas that sets a poem by Opal Lightly, who, like Gurney, died in an asylum in Great Britain. She spent her childhood in Oregon and was a child prodigy writer, diarist, and poet. And some of her themes are so beautifully suited to a space like this. Themes of nature and renewal of nature, night and stars. There's a beautiful image in the poem of the harp of stars. She also has an ability to evoke the voice of a child, and so that sense of innocence of the child's voice is present as well. And the dichotomy of childhood innocence with adult experience is another one that is highlighted both in this program and in the experience of many of these artists who have written about their own journeys with illness, with bipolar disorder and other neurodiversity complexes. So we are giving voice to them as well today. We also include Samuel Barber's beautiful nocturne, Sure on This Shining Night, which is one of his most beloved songs and also so characteristic of his lyrical melancholy voice. He suffered from alcoholism and depression at the end of his life before dying of cancer. In the short span of his life and productivity, he produced an amazing body of beautiful, beautiful lyric works. So it's a pleasure to include Sure on the Shining Night here as well.
I long seek for my only there were more wide-eyed children.
For the middle of our program, we move back in time. And so I'm so happy to be in front of this amazing 16th century Flemish tapestry. The worlds that it depicts, the layers of meaning, the references to mythology, the characters involved, all of these aspects go into the making of music as well. So starting with the music of John Doland, who really could be considered the first emo songwriter in the English language. He was an Elizabethan composer, went into exile after he didn't get the job from Queen Elizabeth that he coveted, and made music in Denmark until Elizabeth died, and then returned to England and published his lute songs around the turn of the 17th century. He was a remarkable musician and artist, also a poet. His motto was Semper Dolens, Semper Dolent, always sad, always dolent. And in Flow My Tears, we hear that sense of melancholy. I mentioned English melancholy when talking about Ivor Gurney's songs, and there is a sense in the style of English music, in the folk songs, the prevalence of minor keys, for example. Listen at the beginning of the Doland for the simple, what we call in music a descending tetrachord, 4 notes that go down the scale. Flow my tears. That same progression underpins songs as varied as Hit the Road Jack, Time in a Bottle, and Stairway to Heaven. It became such a signature for lament, the way certain colors and gestures and techniques in painting have been representative, that the descending tetrachord was known as the motif of lament. Barbara Strozzi, another 17th century composer from Venice, a rare woman at the time to have success and have her music published. Of course, it was not easy, and she courted controversy because of the fact that she was a woman artist and expressing herself. She does it with delightful irony in the song that we'll hear today. A complete contrast to the melancholy music of Doland. In Strozzi's case, the irony and the wit of the spurned lover is what drives this gavotte of a song. Then we end with another piece evoking mythological references by the 17th century composer Henry Purcell, who, like Doland, wrote the Baroque lament into his music, his most famous one being the close of Dido and Aeneas, his masque or opera from the 17th century. Music for a while invokes one of the Furies, Alecto, who, like Medusa, like the Gorgon in Greek mythology, had snakes for hair. And there's a reference to the torture of the soul happening until the music can soothe it. So it's a beautiful evocation of how music is used as therapy and has been used as therapy for as long as we have records, ancient scriptures and poems and tales from King David to Orpheus mention this consoling, healing aspect of music. And Purcell was known as Orpheus Britannicus, the Orpheus of Great Britain. So it's a pleasure for us to sing these songs and have them danced for you and do them in a space with so much beauty. Reminding us that the beauty produced by artists who have suffered from mental illness, from bipolar disorder and other forms of depression and other neurodiverse illnesses, the act of expressing is one way to work through one's own illness. The links between artistic creativity and mental illness go back to Aristotle and even earlier philosophers, and others have chronicled the anatomy of melancholy. Again, another 16th century reference, and one as dense with characters and meanings as this tapestry. This is Robert Burton's self-same book, Anatomy of Melancholy, which is over 1,000 pages. So, hope you enjoy these 3 songs from the 17th century.
My tears fall from your springs, exiled forever, let me mourn. When night gathered, a sad infamy sings, let me fall alone. Down vain lights shine no nights are dark enough for those that in despair their last fortunes deplore. Light doth not shame disclose. Never may my woes be revered, since pity's fled, and tears and sighs and groans, my weary days, my weary days of all joys of deprived from thy spark of contentment, my fortune is thrown, and fears and grief and pain for my deserts, for my deserts, all joy since hope is gone. Hark, you shadows that in dark
Thank you again for joining us. And thanks to my friends and colleagues, Asher Caballero, soprano, Bill McCorkle, piano, and Pedro Savoy, the dancer and choreographer and director of Southwest Virginia Ballet. It's been such an honor to work with my collective colleagues and put this program together and share it with you all. And thank you for being here. And if you're in the area and have not been to the Taubman, make sure you come in and visit. There's always amazing work on display, and right now is no exception. Our last set opens with another song by Ivor Gurney, and it is a setting of an Elizabethan song by John Fletcher, a contemporary of Shakespeare. It's called Sleep, and it uses images of sleep and dreams to conjure that sense of therapy that we know now from science that sleep is for our bodies and our brains. And like many artists, there is an intuitive grasp of truth, perhaps ahead of the curve, and Sleep is no exception. It's a beautiful song, and we hope you enjoy it. It works like an invocation or a prayer. If we were to invoke one of the mythological gods, perhaps depicted in the tapestry we visited earlier, it would be Morpheus, the god of sleep, perhaps. In the song we say, from the Hebrew liturgy, we are praying for peace and unity in a beautiful and haunting song from the 1980s. You could say that our last two songs are 80s power ballads. We end with a beautiful setting by Ricky Ian Gordon of Emily Dickinson's Will There Really Be a Morning? And this song, weaving the piano and the voice into beautiful counterpoint of lines, it is so parallel to many of the paintings on the walls here in the museum, in which the eye just follows lines and colors, the shape, the form, the texture. We're reminded that so many of the vocabularies we have for one form inform the other. So we can talk about chromatics and harmonies, we can talk about rhythm, of course we talk about color and light in all of these mediums. So to end this program, Will There Really Be a Morning? Thank you.
Come, sleep, and in thy sweet deceiving, the queen delight awhile. There's some pleasing dream beguile all my fancies, that from thence I may feel and influence all my powers of care thou art a shadow, but a star.